Freddy Krueger's pretty much Jason, only a little bit uglier.
Happy Halloween to all of you. Let's begin with you, Jan Wall. As a film critic, you are not happy with these Nightmare on Elm Street movies, are you?
Not at all.
Why?
There's no reason movies have to be disgusting to be scary.
Hi, from San Francisco, it's Channel 5's People Are Talking with Ann Fraser and Ross McGowan.
So while I was searching through my archival material looking for lost items like unpublished Nightmare on Elm Street material, spoilers, sweetie, I found some. I came across a video cassette tape. Remember those? Maybe not. That I'd long forgotten about, which turned out to be a goldmine of 1988 satanic panic crazy.
Today is Halloween, and I want to show you what is the hottest selling costume this year. Would you come in here, please? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, that is kind of surprising, especially for 1988, but that's what Halloween is, rebellion. And that scares people, hence satanic panic.
This glove, this flashy glove, this darling little fellow is the hat, the face, and the glove is that of Freddy Krueger, who is the horrific star of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Well, I mean, he's so ugly, but for some odd reason, he's become a cult hero. If you can believe it, I mean, here he is, a child molester and a cold-blooded killer, and yet people are taking them into taking him into their hearts. In fact, one writer wrote, he has become the Spuds McKenzie of horror characters.
The Bud Light party dog, that was a big deal for like 3 years in the late 80s. How does that even relate to Freddy?
It's just unbelievable. So this morning we thought we'd explore this phenomenon and find out why he is so popular. Most people say, well, gee, this is just fun entertainment. But some people say the glorification of this kind of demonic character can be destructive and harmful to children. We have got a great panel this morning on both sides of the issue. Would you give them a nice welcome to People Are Talking?
Oh, here we come, 1988, on a cheesy revolving stage. When I saw the tape, I had a little heart palpitation as I remembered the whole experience as a bloodbath, but no pain, no gain. Right, Debbie? That sequence is gruesome and it's still incredible. Thank you, Roach Motel.
These movies have no respect for the audience. They're trash. And these people are blood merchants, not filmmakers.
Well, we have Rachel Talalay with us. She has worked on all 4 Nightmare on Elm Street movies and has produced number 4, correct?
Number 3 and 4.
How do you respond to Jan?
Well, I do consider myself a filmmaker. I consider them creative and fanciful, not blood. What was your?
Bloodbaths or blood merchants.
Watching it now, it's just kind of hilarious. So let's introduce the players. That's me. Why was I there? Nightmare 4, which I had produced, had been released about a month or 2 earlier, and no one else at New Line was available or maybe stupid enough to agree to go on live television in San Francisco on a very 80s talk show with the job of justifying the movies. I guess it gave a good look that I was a young woman defending the series, but in truth, I was shy and nervous and not a good speaker, and I really should not have been doing anything like this. I shouldn't really have been defending anything. So why did I even do it? I don't think I was voluntold by New Line. They weren't really like that. I'm afraid I kind of thought it would be cool to go on live TV.
Blood merchants.
What the hell was I even thinking? On the attack side, meet Jan Wall, a film critic. I can't find anything about what happened to her since then. Here's a stellar moment when Jeff Freilich, the producer of the Freddy's TV series, who was there with me, compares Freddy's intros to Rod Serling of Twilight Zone while talking about the series being a set of morality tales.
The show is not a particularly violent show, and Freddy is used as a very different kind of character. Freddy on the show is kind of a horrific Rod Serling, to make a comparison between him and someone who I have a tremendous amount of respect for. You may be laughing, but the point is that he's a host. And if you want to take Elvira or Seymour, who used to be in Los Angeles, or Alfred Hitchcock, who introduced his shows, he serves kind of the same purpose. The point of Freddy...
Are you okay, Jan?
I
Are we
just
gonna
feel
send
bad.
Jan doesn't like her idols desecrated. I was a student of Rod Serling.
I love Rod Serling.
Rod Serling? If you love him so much, maybe learn his actual name?
And you say Freddy is like Rod Serling?
No, the use of Freddy on the show is likened to Rod Serling.
Then there's Dr. Carol Lieberman, who calls herself a media consultant. She's worth looking up now because she's continued her career as an expert witness. You can take a look at her current work on the Terrorist Therapist website. She's definitely a career media person, and she's the main attack dog because she brings with her the pretense of having science on her side. But we'll get to that.
And we all have anger inside of ourselves, and sometimes we need to express anger, but not by slashing people, and not by being gory all over the place. The teenagers relate, and what they see is, okay, I have a lot of things that I want to get revenge on, or people I want to get revenge on, and what this does is give them permission to be really violent.
To balance our side is Dr. Lee Sadja, who has a continued career as a psychiatrist and professor at UCLA.
There is a value to these movies. It's easy to say they're just for humor. It's easy to say they're just to make money. But in point of fact, they do deal with issues that have to do with adolescence.
Now, we should point out here, because this is a real live psychiatrist,
Alive and
he is the assistant clinical professor at UCLA, Dr. Lee Sadja, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And you think they have some positive value,
I think
these
they
kinds
do have a
of movies?
positive value. One of the main values of these movies is they focus on a certain issue that adolescents are dealing with, which has to do with growing up, separating from their parents, being afraid of being on their own, at the same time wanting to be on their own. And if you look very carefully at the themes in the Freddy movies, particularly in the third movie, particularly in the TV series, you see that the issues have to do with growing up, being on your own, dealing with sexual issues, being concerned about how parents are going to relate to those things. And even though these ideas are buried in the movie, they're clearly there, and teenagers, and this is who the movies and the series are for, teenagers respond to these on perhaps a somewhat unconscious level because it's an opportunity to see these things worked out and controlled. So I think
By the way,
there is
Doctor, are
something
you under
positive.
any kind of financial agreement with these people, or are you an independent?
No, but you know what?
Is that not a legitimate question?
Well,
Question.
Let
I have
Diana
no,
respond
I have
to that
no
one
financial
first.
arrangement
Okay.
whatsoever.
I needed to ask.
I think that's an absurd question.
Let me tell you, anyone who believes New Line would pay anyone to defend their successful franchise has the wrong company.
Too much
That-
blood.
there is a Nightmare
Scarface had
4.
too much blood.
Wouldn't there be a
Scarface
fear? I
had
mean,
too
how many people who have seen Psycho peek outside the curtain all the time now?
I do.
So there
That is a
is
great
no-
film.
in a hotel without
Is there
thinking about
always
that
the
movie.
fear that somebody, some nutcase out
Sure.
there, is going to pick up a knife
Yeah.
and go in and kill someone in the shower because of this one
Yeah,
movie?
There can
because it
also-
builds your
Let's get rid of
imagination.
it, Jan. Let's get rid of it.
So I'm not going to subject you to the full hour of attacks because in truth we were destined to fail, of course. I mean, what is the defense against the moral high road? We're hardly going to say violent media is good.
I actually sat through a couple of these things.
But we did have some interesting arguments to make. The problem was simple and very much one of 2025. The other side wasn't even interested in listening. They had an agenda, and that was that.
If you have seen these movies, do you know what I'm talking about with graphic? It's graphic, okay?
There seems to be a fundamental belief that all we did was design the kills and the special effects for maximum gore. And while there are literally buckets of blood in the revolving room sequence, anybody who's watched the series knows the creativity that went behind the special effects. It's not made for dismemberment. It's not Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Second point I wanted to make is you mentioned the word creative. You definitely, I'm sure you have a staff that does research and knows that special effects are effective and knows that violence are effective.
Hey, critics, don't spend a second actually watching the movies. Just spout your vitriol. To synopsize all this, they seem to have two topics of importance. The first was the idea that violence in the media creates violence in people. And we have all been part of that debate. There are a lot of studies and questions. Does the adrenaline of the video game make you more violent, or does it help replace violent urges? Carol Lieberman was the worst kind of opponent because she pretended to be rational, then went in for the kill. And it's really hard to argue with things that are presented as hard fact, especially when they aren't.
We have studies that show that people do become more violent after they see these kinds of movies.
And I think it's a really good way for the audience and the young children to let their energy out. I mean, a lot of them, they go out relaxed after...
What do you mean let their energy?
They go crazy in there. They stand up, jump around. I mean, they enjoy it. It's a great movie.
And do you love these movies?
Yeah, I love them. I sleep well at night also.
Freddy doesn't bother you.
Not at all.
How old are you, Demi?
21.
Children, especially children, the younger you are, the more you have difficulty in distinguishing reality from fantasy. Now, the National Coalition on Television Violence has done study upon study, as has other people, about violent television shows and violent movies and violent toys. And they have shown conclusively that when children or adults are exposed to these, they become more violent in the periods following. And there's evidence now that these children become more violent later on, too. And I'd like to ask you, do you just disbelieve all these scientific studies? Do you want to ignore them?
There are a lot of studies, and some of them come down on either side. But the majority opinion, at least at the moment, is that the idea that media causes violence has been largely debunked. Many of these studies have to do with video games. While, as they say, correlation does not imply causality or causation, anecdotal evidence can be helpful. I'm pretty sure that if video games actually caused violent behavior, there'd be a lot more homicides given the size of the video game industry. For me, they have a calming effect.
I think it's pretty clear that it would be a simplistic view of life in the United States to say that these movies are causing people to be violent. The real roots of violence lay in issues relating to our culture in general and to families. And that's where you have to look at the problems. And to point at a movie might be the easiest thing to do.
And
but
Deborah
it's
has a comment.
Shrink would complain that they anesthetize us to violence.
I'd like to go back. I think one thing that you illustrated was a concept of desensitization, and that is that when you watch something the first time, it's scary. When you watch Elm Street 2, it's less scary. When you're 3 and 4, you get immune to it. You get used to seeing all that blood.
Is it a feeling of power, though, that once you've seen it, after a while, you feel powerful because you know it doesn't touch you, so you go back and see another one and you feel a little more empowered because...
Wow, even the host understands that horror films can be about control.
Yes, that is the psychology behind, even from fairy tales. You know, you were talking about that before. Sure, when people were told fairy tales and the mother was there telling it to them, and they felt, I can listen to something scary, and it's when it's all over, I'm safe. But these things are getting more and more realistic, and people are getting more desensitized.
I love this moment when Lee asks the kid about it.
Are you implying that Eric is going to go out and commit some sort of crime
No,
because of what he's seen on
At
TV?
some point in life, he may feel vengeance. He's not old, you know, he may get into a situation in business where something happens.
But
why don't we ask Eric? Eric,
What
do you think that because
Eric, this is your show. How do you like
because
it?
that's right.
The Eric and Freddy show.
Eric, do you think because you've seen these programs that you're going to act in a dangerous or violent way? I don't think so either.
So somebody brought up an interesting point in one of the articles I wrote, that with the Freddy movies, there's no good, there's no evil, there's no hope.
Right.
And a
That's
lot
not
of
true.
teen suicides,
Exactly.
or kids who are prone to teen suicide might look at this movie and then might say, well, what is it? I mean, inevitable death, that's...
This leads me to the real topic of the value of the movies and whether they cause teenagers to despair and encourage teen suicides, as is implied.
There are 3 and 4 movies about kids who want to survive. They're not movies about kids who want to commit suicide. They're movies about kids who have abusive parents, and these kids want to survive. And it's simply untrue to say that there's no hope at the end of these movies.
Yes.
Our kids triumph at the end.
Here's where I actually tried to argue about the points of the movies and the plots, but I just got blocked.
Why is Freddy the star? Why is he the big thing? Freddy. Why is he...
When he arrives on screen, it just means that the show's going to get more interesting, that we're going to have more special effects, it's going to get pumped up. But it's not. They don't root for him to kill. They root for the teens to kill him.
I don't understand the movie critics' view that she says that you don't need to see the blood and guts and it's so violent and that children don't need to see that. But if you compare it to something like a Rambo movie where he is representing our country, he's a positive force that kills thousands more people, and he's a real live person, whereas as Rachel is saying, producer, that at least Freddy, he's a fantasy. It's all a make-believe thing in your dreams, and so I don't see him nearly as so much of a destructive role model as Freddy Krueger is, but you seem to think that he's really the evil demon of these movies.
Well, what it is, I recently saw the last Rambo movie about the Afghanistan freedom fighters. He goes into Afghanistan, and you never see the blood, you never see the ripping apart of bodies. That's what I'm talking about, gratuitous violence. the ripping apart of bodies. Have you seen these movies, Andrea? Have you seen them?
Yes, but
where
you
the blood comes gushing out. It's not in that movie.
But in Rambo movies, you have thousands of people exploded. I mean, you see bodies.
Those are terrible too.
Violence, but gratuitous destruction in the Rambo movies.
I was just in LA at a Nightmare on Elm Street legacy panel, and people came up to us to tell us how important Nightmare was to them. And I don't hear that so often. I mostly get that about Doctor Who and about Tank Girl, but less about Nightmare. And so I was a little bit more interested in delving more deeply into why Nightmare was so significant to so many people. So I simply went on Facebook and asked friends and acquaintances for their thoughts, and I got these amazing answers, sort of the answers you dream of. What really grabbed me was that it perfectly deals with the anxiety we have as kids, where everything is out of our control and we're at the mercy of adults with good intentions. What I loved and still do is the Nightmare films help me face my own nightmares, to learn to deal with and accept any trauma with strength and hope. Childhood can be a minefield to navigate, and the characters throughout the film all become warriors. It's pretty great that while I was arguing that these were empowering our kids, even 30 years later, people are saying exactly the same thing. That spoke volumes to me, and even today, as an adult, I find I have to tap into my inner dream warrior.
As someone who loves movies, studies movies, lives movies, I'm just sorry that we've gotten to this level of filmmaking.
So here's what I faced in 1988, a public shaming. For me, this is the worst moment in the video.
You said you have children and you wouldn't let them see these movies, but they're going to be seeing them eventually. I mean, I think that you're being very, very hypocritical. You're turning our society...
Who are you saying this to?
Both of these.
Oh, all these folks. They're all hypocrites.
A public shaming. But you know what? I'm not ashamed. I'm proud. I'm proud of the Nightmare film. Who gets to work on a franchise with this kind of legacy? How lucky am I?
Dating service that really he finds out later is a meatpacking plant to go after Miss Perfect.
Is she a young teenage girl?
No, actually she's not. She's a middle 20s girl. And
I always wonder why he doesn't go after old broads like me. Why is it always young girls?
Because you would scare him.